yes, I think you Brits can all agree that it's everyone's dream to work long hours at a place that is extremely understaffed. I mean, isn't that why you guys fought in World War II in the first place?
Of course, fight them on the beaches, fight them in the air, and we will never take a day off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Washington to Westminster, the YouTube podcast that looks at how things are going politically on both sides of the Atlantic and asks, why us? My name's Matt Johnson. I host a show called The Interesting Times, and joining me this week, and indeed every week, I'm very happy to say, is Andrea Bridger-Smith from the Phoenix News Network. Hello, Andrea.
Hello, Matt. Now, since you are a Brit, I know that we are supposed to talk about the weather, national pastime over there, I believe.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with that. Today, it is going to be about 41 degrees Celsius here in Texas. That's 105 in Fahrenheit. And it's only May, and we are frankly terrified of what August is going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, the tarmac will virtually melt under your feet, won't it?
Yeah.
I have this theory that you are being taken to hell by the Satan-in-Chief in the White House. All joking aside, it's incredibly concerning, obviously. I mean, is Trump and his cohort still saying that climate change isn't a problem?
Yes, as far as they know, everything is fine. So if you have any oil laying around, go ahead and burn it.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Now, speaking of things that are unnaturally hot, I hear that Keir Starmer's house was set on fire. What's going on with that?
Yeah, now, for those that don't know, Keir Starmer's house and a car that used to belong to him and another property that he's closely connected with was set on fire various days last week. As of the taping of this show, police have arrested a 21-year-old man, but again, there's no further information. So just to make it clear that thankfully no one's been hurt.
Yeah, so this does sound very suspicious, and I have to say, shame on the arsonist in question, because you don't need fire, you can use pizza.
Okay, I mean, yes, pizza would definitely be the preferred method, surely, yeah, in any of those circumstances. Or if it was Nigel Farage, you could just throw garlic bread and watch a recoil and hiss. In all seriousness, though, I hope this isn't the start of violence against our elected representatives. Please, let's not go down that road. Anyway, I'm guessing the pizza point is relevant to what's happening in the US, Andrea?
Yes, so over here in the States, there are certain judges who have ruled against the Trump administration, and they have had retaliation in the form of receiving a large number of anonymous pizza deliveries. And I gotta say, this is a brilliant strategy, because you know what they say, you gotta keep your friends close and your enemies enjoying large quantities of free food that you paid for. Ha-ha, check and mate.
Bingo. That's free food with the added bonus of upholding the law. Well, I like to think that would make for some interesting cop dramas. Stick with me here. How about law and hors d'oeuvres?
Maximilien Robespierre just rolled over in his grave. I could hear it. And speaking of the French, I hear that Macron had to deny bringing cocaine to a meeting with other European leaders, including Keir Starmer. And of course, I think this rumor is absolutely ridiculous, because everyone knows that Macron is more of an opium guy.
Yeah. I mean, cocaine is Putin's thing, allegedly.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that. Do you think, hear me out, should we get him to switch to weed? Maybe that'll help calm him down a little bit.
It's a nice idea, but I think the only thing that would calm him down would ironically be the same thing that would stop the war, and I'll just leave that there.
Oh, okay. Well, he's certainly not standing next to any windows, right?
Yeah. Drinking any glowing cups of tea, that sort of thing, yes.
Exactly. Now, over here, there has been a very large kerfuffle over a plane. And no, it is not the ones that are constantly in danger of crashing at Newark Airport. The government of Qatar is giving President Trump an airplane dubbed the Palace in the Sky as a quote-unquote gift that comes with no strings attached, none whatsoever. It's just a nice country, given a nice guy, a nice plane, nothing to see there.
I saw that. And the thing is, it's so obviously a bribe that Trump is just fine with. You know, they don't even need to drop hints at this point. It's just like, here's a plane. Thank you. Now put up all prices. And Trump's like, okie dokie.
Now, of course, this is ethically dubious and definitely not legal at all. But what is interesting is that some of Trump's most ardent supporters are actually mad about it.
Is this good for President Trump? Is it good for his agenda? Is it good for draining the swamp and getting things done? The answer is no, it isn't. It isn't. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop.
Now, this guy is Ben Shapiro, who once literally barbecued some Barbie dolls to protest a movie. Our Oz fans, of course, know that as Barbies on the Barbie. He is a ridiculous human being, but even he can see that this one is out of bounds. Now, it would be nice if we could get him as riled up about human rights abuses against immigrants, but, you know, baby steps, baby steps.
Baby steps, yes, quite. I mean, could this be the start of right-wing, well, twats changing their mind when presented with history?
One can only hope. Now, one other fun fact about all this is that Pam Bondi, who is Trump's attorney general, and someone who coincidentally resembles a Barbie.
Don't most of them that seem to work at the White House under his administration?
Yes, he does have a certain type, for sure, and she definitely fits that mold. Now, she, very interestingly, was once a lobbyist for the nation of, you'll never guess, Qatar.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, it's just very mysterious how this whole plane deal came together, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it when a plane comes together. By the way, I know that Trump won't give a crap about this, but is this against the Constitution?
Yes, that would be Article 2, Section 4. TLDR is you can't do bribes. It's an excellent bit of law that none of us are currently using at all.
Wow. How about that? And a good bit of background there. Thank you very much, Andrea. Oh, by the way, the other news over here is immigration, as I know it invariably is over there, because everybody seems to be saying that it's terrible and too high. The original message was started with Farage. Then when the Tories saw they were losing votes to whatever unholy reincarnation Farage was in charge of at the time, they jumped aboard the migrating, hating bandwagon. Yeah. And now it seems that Starmer's going full as well. He made a speech where he said, we are an island of strangers. Yes, that's right. That's just the way I like it, thank you. What's the alternative? An island of people that open up to each other and express their love for one another. Oh, God. And honestly, the weirdos sometimes. You know what sort of people give each other group hugs? Perverts. That's what sort of people. And, genuine story, actually. This is a genuine story. This morning I was going off to work and I forgot something. So I raced back upstairs. And as I was opening the door, my next door neighbour stepped out. And it was clear that he'd been waiting for me to go until he decided to go, so we wouldn't have to do small talk. And he looked genuinely angry that I was like, all right. And I was just short of turning around and apologising to him. There we go.
That's the most British thing I've ever heard.
That's pretty much it. We have peepholes for that purpose, so you think your neighbours are leaving. So, Starmer's making all these suggestions about how we're going to cut migration to the country. The thing is, these migrant workers take up most of the jobs in things like the care sector. There are currently some 130,000 vacancies, and the Home Secretary, Vet Cooper, said that they could be filled with care workers from abroad who came but didn't find work, of which there are a total of 10,000. I mean, plenty of overtime available anyway.
Yes, I think you Brits can all agree that it's everyone's dream to work long hours at a place that is extremely understaffed. I mean, isn't that why you guys fought in World War II in the first place?
Of course. Fight them on the beaches, fight them in the air, and we will never take a day off. So what else is happening in America, Andrea?
Well, a little bit of good news for once. I know I pretty much never say that, but Trump has actually signed an executive order to try and make medications as cheap over here as they are over there. Every once in a while, the man has a good idea. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I applaud him for trying. It's actually a good thing to try and do. Now, Matt, I am curious. When you go to a pharmacy to pick up a prescription, what is the absolute most that you have ever paid?
I have to say, touch wood and all that, I've been very fortunate, touch wood. I think the last time I got prescription was, I generally, I can't remember. It was over 20 years ago and it was about £6, I think, £6.
Okay, so I think that works out to roughly about $8 over here. It's pretty darn affordable. Over here, I've had some go as high as 200 for the most expensive things.
I'm sure one of our excellent listeners here will be able to see me right, but I don't think any prescription over here goes as high as that. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it's a little bit steep. That's not the norm.
Right.
But yes, they can get quite expensive. I think insulin was very expensive for a while, and you pretty much need that to live. There's all kinds of these stories. I have a friend who has a medical condition, and the medication that she needs is so expensive that it's like hard for her to even afford to get it, which I don't think happens over there. Is that right?
Yeah, it's unusual, shall we say? There was a period where they brought in austerity, and the people that were really sick were really struggling. And again, Starmer's sort of following that with the cancelling of a lot of PIP payments and
Right.
things. Yeah, it's not great, but by the sounds of things, we're still having it relatively I guess compared to you guys. It's a low bar to clear, but I think we're just about clearing it.
So hospital stays. I recently had a family member who had an overnight stay in the hospital. Guess how much the total bill was and how much they had to pay after insurance.
Okay, I'm guessing something extortionate, so I'm kind of tempted to go mad with a big old figure, but you've asked me in good faith, so I'm going to answer with what I think is an educated guess. And I would guess that a hospital would be like a fancy hotel. I'm going to say £250 for the night, and after insurance they paid 100. I mean, I'm well off, aren't I?
You are, but is that how much it would cost over in the UK?
Well, no, it would be free. It would be free if it's a serious thing that you're having, like you need to be in there for, I don't know, like an operation or something. It would actually be free. There would not be a bill at the end of it. I know, mind blown, right? But you
Yeah.
can go private over here, and that I know gets pretty expensive pretty quickly. But yeah,
Gotcha.
most people,
Okay.
even allowing for the fact, well, for goodness sake, we've got 7 million people on the waiting list, so hopefully that will start to come down. But yes, when you go to the hospital, as I actually had a hernia going back 4 or 5 years, took me in, went to, had the operation, all done, sent home that day, funny enough, so I didn't stay the night, but they wouldn't have charged me because it's NHS, it's all free.
Interesting. Okay. That's one way to do it. Hard to tell which system is better, but over here, the hospital bill was $15,000. And after insurance took care of the bulk of that, the family member was left to only pay $2,000. Just, again, it's really hard to tell which system is better for
Yeah.
people. It's just tough. It's just, there's no way to know.
Here's the weird thing, because a lot of people that are kind of, a lot of the right wing and people like Farage and Reform or what have you will turn around and say, the NHS isn't working, it's not working, it's not working. Fair enough. But they are also turning around and saying, you're paying this through taxes or whatever, and yet if we got rid of that, you wouldn't pay that through taxes, you'd be paying less. But clearly that's not the case.
No, I don't think there's a universe that exists in which that will ever be the case. No. Yeah, two very different systems, just real hard to tell which one is better.
It's tough, isn't it? Now, before we finish, and I appreciate it was a while ago, but could we take a moment to appreciate the bond that exists between our two countries in the form of that trade deal? Which is the first trade deal that Trump made after he brought in the tariffs, wasn't it?
Yes.
So it's the first thing I noticed is it wasn't a trade deal because that has to go through Congress.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So apparently there's no legally binding element to it.
Yes, and for anybody who has not studied the ins and outs of this trade deal, good. You probably shouldn't. It'll just make you mad. But this is basically a trade deal that allows us to sell our beef to each other in some kind of unholy steak swap. You send me a T-bone, I'll send you a ribeye, and the very special relationship between our countries continues.
Yeah. So and as I say, it is more of well, not a trade deal, more of a pinky promise to keep your word. And I'm sorry, Andrea, I don't trust your president's pinky. And I don't think I'm the only one.
Yes, none of us knows where that pinky's been. We do know, though, that Vladimir Putin is smiling coyly somewhere. All right, now, Matt, of course, we always try to end on a lighter note. So here is a little bit of a fun story for you. Good news for the new Pope. His trading card is one of the top sellers of all time. Now, this, of course, begs the question, a Pope trading card, why? Who trades Pope trading cards? I can only assume that it's kids who get their lunch money stolen a lot.
Well,
Do you have any Pope trading cards laying around, Matt?
Well, confession time. I'm actually only one John Paul away from having a complete set until this American guy's taken over. So I'll now be able to fill out my whole Pope card. I've got it's a lovely velour sort of cover, really rather beautiful. All done in a beautiful sort of golden cross, all done in nice purple and stuff. It's very very fancy. I have to say as well that I think somebody mentioned that he's now. I think his job will be if he's. It's strange that the America's not only got the top Christian, if you like, in the world, you've also got the top Satanist. So is he going to be undoing all the work that Trump is going around? Sort of, Trump goes around and bombs something or something. He has to go around and sort of bless these people. That's his job, obviously.
Get these two fellas some lightsabers and let them just duke it out. Good versus evil. It's we really have our bases covered over here in America. Well, that is going to wrap up this week's episode. We will, of course, be back next Wednesday. But in the meantime, you can come back here on Friday to catch the Phoenix News Report, our weekly news roundup. And please do head to Matt's channel, The Interesting Times, right down there, to keep up with all the goings-on in the UK. Matt, I believe there will be a fresh new episode out on Sunday, yes?
Sunday, yep.
Sunday fun day. Head over to Matt's channel, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.